guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I have a really fun video. I am going to be giving you guys a thorough reading review of everything that I read in October. I read 6 full books, which is crazy. I am someone who has always loved reading. I used to read a lot more. I used to read like 2 to 3 books a week throughout all of high school and middle school. And then once I got into college, I kind of just got busier because I was working full-time, going to school full-time, and I just kind of fell out of love with it, which is really unfortunate. But now that I am like a year post-grad and I have kind of been on the hunt for different hobbies, I have been pursuing crocheting and stuff like that, and I absolutely love it. But I'm very ready to dive into other things as well and kind of experiment and explore. And I really want to fall in love with reading because at the peak when I was reading at the most, I feel like I couldn't go a day without it. I just love it. I think there's something so therapeutic about it. It's like daydreaming in a sense. So I'm gonna give you guys a thorough review. It's my first ever time doing a book review or anything of the sort. So if you guys like it and you want to see me do it like a reoccurring theme of every month I do this same type of vibe, let me know. Or if there's any ways that I could improve, let me know as well. And things that you guys want to know about the books, things you don't want to know. And if you have any book recommendations, that would be amazing too. I have been really into fantasy stuff currently. Is anything magical, fantasy, anything of that realm. I really love fantasy romance as well. That's I feel like that's my god tier is fantasy romance currently. So that's what most of these books today are. I'm gonna do my best to not give actual spoilers of the books in case you guys want to read them. So I'm gonna give you guys a review and then a rating of them, not too much of a description. I'll be thorough, but without giving too many spoilers, because that is really rude, that would be really, really rude. So I'm not gonna do that, but I hope you guys like this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Wait till you guys see the sheer, I didn't realize how much I had read this month until I saw the full stack. This is everything that I read, and I don't like listening to audiobooks, so this is all just the reading that I did. Full stack, it's quite beautiful if I do say so myself. I'm gonna go in order, I think, of what I read at the beginning, first to last, if that makes sense, first to most recent. And in terms of a rating, star reviews, 1 will be absolute shat. I don't like it. It's really, really bad. I will never read it again. I can't recommend it. It needs to be burned at the stake. 2 stars is, it wasn't the worst thing I ever read, but it could definitely improve. And I didn't want to finish it, but I did. 3 is meh, it's okay. I read it, I don't hate it, I don't love it. It just is kind of the neutral of the two. Just, it is what it is. Number 4 is, to me, what most of these books are. 4 is, I loved it. I will absolutely recommend it, but there's something about it, whether it be the ending or something about one of the characters, where there could have been something to improve upon. 4.5 to 5 is no notes. It's beautiful, it's perfect, no notes. I loved it. I would read again, will be reading again, will recommend it till the day I die. You can't get better than it. It's 5-star. I will be rating some of them with half stars of it's not quite 5-star to me. You really gotta work to get there, that's safe for the best of the best. So I will be very stingy with the books that I give 5 stars in these reviews. But with that being said, that is the tier. So let's go ahead and get started with reviewing them. I reached out to one of my friends actually on Instagram who is a book talker, that type of niche. And 4 of these books were recommendations from her. And she killed it. She gave me some of the best book recommendations of books that I have genuinely read. Definitely in years, but maybe ever. The first series that she recommended was the Shepherd King series. So this was the first one in the series, One Dark Window, and then it follows up with Two Twisted Crowns. These books hurt me. They are such an emotional journey. It follows the main character, Elspeth, who, it is a magic book. I'm gonna start there. it's a very easy to follow magic world and kind of like plot. So if you are someone who has troubles reading like Crescent City or those types of things, because they are very involved and take just a lot of energy and thought and a lot of like keeping up with, these are for you. I have a hard time, I found, reading, and you'll see my review of Crescent City later, but it takes a lot of energy to keep up with it, and then there's just a lot of places to follow, and there's a lot of like, it gets confusing for me. This flowed so easily. I read both of these within a week. It probably took me like 8 hours for each. Very easy read. The characters in these books and like the images, you can just like, it feels like you're watching a movie when you read them. As the words flow, you're just visualizing everything that happened. I could see the world that they were in and like the cities and like the descriptions of the different castles where the main character Elspeth lived, and like her backstory and who she was, and where another character lived that I'm not going to say his name, but he is the love interest in this first book. And they have a really beautiful connection. It is something that really goes, the premise of the book is Elspeth has a magical like curse, essentially you could say, where essentially there's something called the nightmare that is living within her mind. And it kind of follows her, and she has to keep that a secret because in the place that both these books take place, magic is forbidden. Like, you will get killed, you will be sent into the king's dungeons and slaughtered. Like, you are not allowed to have any magic. You're not allowed to have any possession of it. You're not allowed to have, the way that the magic happens is they get sick, and then you get like essentially this flu, and you essentially are born, then not born, but like you recover kind of, but then you have magic in your veins, which makes you able to have powers, let's say. I'm trying to be vague. It's kind of hard without like giving the whole like spoilers, but I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm sorry. But it follows her, and she is one of the victims of this like flu. So she does have powers, and she develops this nightmare thing inside of her brain, which is like a whole different character, it turns out. And it's just like so involved. And it really, both of these books really go into grief and touch on that really beautifully, and the feeling of not belonging, and the feeling of love, and what it feels like to fall in love and be afraid of that, and kind of like holding back and kind of pulling back and be like, am I deserving of this? Am I okay with this? Just so many different pieces, and there's so many emotions that are within both of these books, and it really, you feel like you're there and feeling it all. And that's like, I cried reading both of these ones. It also has really intense male yearning, which for me, I am someone who like dabbles in smut. I don't have anything against it, but I like limited smut, and I would much rather prefer like the build up to that, opposed to that being like the main premise of a relationship within a book. So if you are looking for like intense male yearning, it is insane. You think it's a lot in this book, and you're like, this is like, it had me like just like feeling so like happy, but also like in a painful way, kind of, because I was like scared of what was happening, and like there's grief, and there's characters that like you don't know what's gonna happen to them, and you're like, are they okay or are they not? Like anything could happen. It has you on your toes. And this poor man is like, oh no, like what happens? Like the love interests between the both of them are just, it's so beautiful, and I highly recommend these. The books are written slightly differently. So this one is all written in Elspeth's perspective. She is the main character in this book, and it's her love story and her background and her life. And, you know, obviously there's a whole magical plot and like a mission inside of that, but that is that book. This book is a little bit different because it bounces around. So it has different character perspectives, and there's actually a sub love interest in this as well, meaning that there is a whole second relationship within the book. So you have the relationship continuation from the first book, but on top of that, it has some of the side characters from the first one. It gives them more of a like main character vibe, because it goes back and forth between 4 different people in this book. So you have the perspective of Elspeth and her love interest, both in this guy, and then you have 2 other characters from this book, having a love interest as well in this one, which is a really cool like twist because they're all going through the same thing and all of those characters are deeply intertwined in the first one, so it makes sense in the second one. But it was really, really cool and really fascinating. And Rachel Gillig, I feel like this is my first time ever reading anything by her, but the way that she portrayed those relationships and was able to continue that into the second book and then manifest the second relationship and show that build out and how different their relationship is as well from Elspeth and her love interest. Honestly, it was so interesting. I will say this one was definitely my favorite. I would rate this one like 4.5 stars, maybe even 5. Like I really, really want to give it 5. I'm just so stingy that I'm like, but I will say I will always remember this book. Like always, always. My only thing with this book is that because the first one was so heavily invested in that first couple, I do really, really wish there was more of them in this book. As much as I loved seeing the other two characters get like their time to shine and like see their story, and you know, I loved that, but I do like desperately yearned for like more of them. Like I just feel like I was kind of robbed in this book of that because this one leaves on a cliffhanger and then you're like, oh shit, like this is the second one, I'm gonna get what I need. And you do, there is like a conclusion and there is like a wrap up, but I feel like it wasn't quite enough. I feel like they focused more on that second couple, which isn't inherently a bad thing. I just wish she had added like 4 or 5 more chapters to really give this couple the conclusion that they deserved. So I will rate this one like a 4-star just for that. Like everything about this is written perfectly. I just feel like there's a little bit of something missing at the end. But these are incredible. I highly recommend them both. This one's my favorite. This one, the male yearning hurts. It's sad. Both of these are sad. You will cry. It gets better. There's like resolutions, not saying whether it's positive or negative, but this series is amazing. This duology, I highly recommend. They are beautifully written. Rachel Gillig does an incredible job portraying these characters and painting an image in your head, and it's so easy to follow their magic system, and the characters are just immaculate, like truly, and the love that they have in these books, and it's amazing. I highly, 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 highly recommend. It's interesting because the love interests have a really big part in these books, but I would argue like Elspeth and her love interests were definitely my favorite. They have such a place in my heart. But the character of the nightmare, who is the creature living in Elspeth's head, that character in the second book, I had such a place for him in my heart. Like that character destroyed me, and like their ending, like it was incredible, and it like wrapped up in like such a special way that it was like painful, but it felt so real and so raw and so important to the story. Highly recommend. They are absolutely incredible. I get emotional talking about them because they're just emotional in like a really good way, and in a way that makes you feel and you yearn and you heal and you cry. It's just a really good series. The male character, both of the love interests are really funny. They're just full of personality and really sassy, and they're just very different, but equally as good, I would argue. I wish there was more of an ending to this guy and this guy. But that's the first series. This is called the Shepherd King series by Rachel Gillig. I will be reading more of her in the future because these are absolutely incredible. She's not watching this, I can guarantee that, but she ate these up. But that was the first series that I read. And then the second series that I went ahead and read, I think these are called, they're the Crimson Moth duology. This is another duology. So it's these two guys. This has a very different, it's a magical book, but it's focused on witches in this one, which is perfect. I'm so glad that I got recommended these in October and got to read them in October because they're spooky. Like witches are so like Halloween, like seasonally, and the books aren't scary. I want to say like all of these books, they are not scary. They are not, I would say that these are ones that like honestly like a teenager could read, like because they're not super smutty. There's like very limited spice scenes. I didn't mention in the last book series. all the books are very limited spice. Just gonna like point that out. So if you are looking for high intensity smut, these aren't it for you, but I would recommend reading them anyway so that you can like still dive into them because they are absolutely incredible. But this one is focused on witches in this world. Witches are hunted and they are slaughtered. Like, you cannot be a witch. Witches are evil on this like island, and this is a fantasy romance, and so it is a witch, and it is also enemies to lovers. It's an enemies to lovers trope, which unlike kind of the last one, which is really, really fun. And it was like the guy, so the main character is a witch. I'm not going to say what and who the romance is with, because I don't want to give too many spoilers, like I said, because I really want you guys to read them. But it is enemies to lovers, and he's so full of it, and his character is just, he yearns, but he's funny and he's fiery, and the amount of times that he tries to kill her and then like can't do it, and same thing with her, like they are constant, like they hate each other, especially in this first book. They like hate each other. They're like arch enemies, and they have the same goal to try and like manipulate the other person to get like what they need and what they want, and like succeed in their own kind of mission. And so they're kind of like going back and forth throughout the entirety of the series essentially. And then this one leaves on a cliffhanger, and then I really appreciate how this one picked up like very shortly after time in this one. It's like, I think like a few weeks later in this one. And just like the world building in this is really cool. The magic system is really great, and the way that the witches like work is really, really cool and really unique. It paints a really cool image in your mind. It's really, really loved this series. I would say that both of these for me were like a 4 to 4.5 star. I think, were they like God tier? No, I don't think I loved them quite as much as the Twisted Crown series. Not the Twisted Crown, the Shepherd King, sorry, the last one. I don't recommend them quite as much as that, but I would still like highly recommend these, and I do want to reread them eventually. Probably next October I'll reread these guys as well, because they are really cool. And it's not as emotional, I would say, as the first series that I recommended, but they are still very emotional, and you will laugh, and you will get like, there were times in these books where I genuinely got like pissed off at like some of the characters, because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, genuinely, like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? Like, grow up. Like, both of them in a lot of ways are just very immature, and they're learning, and they like are having a lot of an identity crisis, and it goes on to like morals and values and just different things. And also like healing is a big part. And like both of these, the main characters, which is like the couple, they have both been really damaged and hurt, and like aren't perfect people, and are learning, and a lot of the stuff that they are working for, even though they are completely opposite, they're so similar. And I think that's really special, and it's really cool to see that play out in the second book. And this one goes into them just kind of like hating each other and going back and forth, and both having like the opposite motives, an opposite goal, but the same tactic to get there, which leads them to kind of like fall more for each other in the second book. And they kind of start working, they're kind of like, hey, they kind of like dive deep in their minds, and they're like, wait, why do we hate each other though? Like, what would happen in a world where like we didn't, and is that possible, and what would that look like? And like, we're scared to like each other, and that feels wrong, and like we shouldn't like each other, but what if we did? And what if that was okay? And what if we lived in a world where like we could be together and like grow old together and have a family, and like the world was different, and it wasn't in a world where like witches were being hunted and unsafe, and like people who weren't witches didn't feel unsafe around witches? And what if we just could all live in harmony together? And I really, really, really loved these books. This is the type of thing where you absolutely have to read them both. I'm not giving you an option. Like, if you're gonna read one, you have to read the other. The ending I also really, really loved, which is really rare for me. Normally a book will end and I like feel really sad, and I like have to low-key kind of grieve. These ones ended perfectly. Like, Kristen Sakarali is the author of these. I haven't ever read anything by her before, but she knows how to write a book through and through. Highly recommend these. They're easy to read, easy to follow, super witchy, super spooky, pretty romantic, but not smutty. There's a couple scenes, so like one per, I marked them, but there are one per book-ish. Not graphic by any means. Mostly just yearning and then, you know, enemies to lovers trying to fight for each other. So I highly recommend those guys. That's a duology. I also should have told you guys before I started filming this to like, well, in the intro, to like grab something to eat or like a coffee or something, because I have a tendency to ramble. And I am such a scatterbrain, I've noticed, and like book reviews are definitely a challenge for me, but I'm glad that I'm doing it because I think it's a good challenge for me. I have trouble speaking, I've noticed, like stuttering. A lot of times it's hard for me to correlate what's going on in my mind and get it out into a sentence and be able to articulate like what I'm trying to say. So I think this is a good challenge for me, and I'm sorry if I sound really, really dumb. I will get better in time. This is like good practice for me, and it's a fun little, it's a good challenge. It's a healthy challenge. Normally I just drink 1 coffee a day, but I'm on to number 2 today because it's raining outside and I have some stuff I need to get done today, but I'm so tired. I am so tired. So I made myself coffee. Let's go ahead and get back into more books. This next one is probably gonna make people mad, and I'm really, really sorry. I tried to read ACOTAR back when it first came out, right? And I made it to book 2. And for me, it was like the neutral. It was like, I would rate it like 3 stars, is how it was hitting for me. And I stopped reading them because it just wasn't enough for me to feel like I need to read more of them, because I think there's 6 or 7 now. And I was like, okay, I'm stopping. I just don't really see like the hype of it. And that doesn't mean that like they are bad by any means. I just don't think that they are my personal cup of tea. But I've been seeing so many things recently about the Crescent City series. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll give Sarah J. Maas a second try, because I tried ACOTAR and that's the only thing I've tried from her. And I was like, I hear so many good things that I was like, I want to like it. So I decided, and I've heard so many things, especially about this series, the Crescent City series. People love them. Like they act like they are going to would commit crimes for these books. And so I went into it with pretty neutral expectations. I wasn't expecting anything crazy, but I was really, really hoping I would like it. And so I did. This ended up being a DNF for me. I'm so sorry. I have reached out to a couple of my friends who do really like the series, and I guess it's fairly agreed upon that the first half of this book, if not more, is confusing. It is hard to follow, especially as someone who isn't great at, world building in their mind and being able to visualize. I feel like I'm a creative person, but when it comes to a lot of fantasy stuff, it's really, really hard for me to follow along and envision it. And this world is so complex, which I think is a really cool thing. And that's so special that this author was able to create such a unique experience. And so for that, I have to give her props where they're due. And I feel like I can't, with a good conscience, rate this book, because like I said, I did not finish it. I made it to page 235. So I read a solid chunk, but as you can see, it's really thick. But I was struggling. And I was having this took me 8 hours to read, because I was struggling so much trying to read it. And then I wasn't able to visualize it, or I was confused, and so I'd have to reread it, or I'd have to go back in time to figure out what was happening. And it's oh shoot, I think I missed something, there should be a connection here, but I couldn't visualize it, which is so important to me. And the reason why I love reading is because it's you're reading a movie, if that makes sense. As you're reading the words, you're painting that picture along with it. And that is and will always be my favorite part about reading. But I couldn't get there with this. And I tried so hard, and it was just so exhausting for me that I did stop reading it. I maybe in the future, once I have been reading consistently for a longer period of time again, I will try to pick this up and give it a second try. With that being said, I don't think this is a bad book by any means. I am confused by it and it's not for me in this given time. I am done trying. But future me, if I feel like, I don't know, my world envisioning has improved, I would love to give this a second try, because I want to experience what so many people who have read this book have experienced, because I know so many people are like diehard fans of this, and they have to be for a reason. I think things are hyped up for a reason. They don't get hyped up for something that's crap. You know what I mean? So I think that these are probably really good. I just didn't understand it and it wasn't for me. With that being said, if you love really high fantasy books and things where there's like tons of different like species of like humans, if you will, and different powers, and there's like a whole big world, like a magical world filled with so many different like subplots and things, and like a ton of different characters, you would love this. Then I would like definitely recommend it. It just wasn't for me, and that's okay. So I did DNF this. If you guys have any Sarah J Maas books that you feel like I would like and that have a good balance between the magic system but it's easier to follow, please let me know, because I do want to give them a second chance, because I know all of her books have stellar reviews and people love them, and I would love to be part of that fan club, but I can't be for this one, so that's unfortunate. But now we are into a book series that I had just started. I read book 1. There's 3 currently out and the 4th one comes out soon. And this is the Lightlark series. This is a series that this is gonna sound really dumb because I think they've been out for at least a couple of years now, but I had not heard of Lightlark until a few weeks ago. And I saw it pop up, the author actually, her TikTok like popped up. And she was doing like this, I think it was like a book thing mentioning like the last one in the series. And I had never heard of the series before. And I was like, then I like saw that one video, and you know how if you like watch a video all the way through on TikTok or on Instagram, it starts recommending like everything that's potentially similar to that to you. So then I started like getting more into book talk and Lightlark like fandoms, and people were like, oh, I'm Team Grimm or I'm Team Oro, like different things like that. And I was like, oh my god, is this like a love triangle? Which like isn't something that I've read before, surprisingly. Like I watched shows like that. I loved Vampire Diaries and that kind of thing. Well, I guess I read Twilight way back in the day. I feel like that's just like, for me, it's like such a different thing, because like, I don't know, like in my brain I was like, well, I know exactly who I would pick, which like is not, whatever, that's completely different. This is really, really cool. When I first read the premise, I was like, whoa, it's like a magical version of the Hunger Games, which I love. The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games back in the day to me were like my god tier, and like I need to reread them now because I haven't read them as an adult, which is kind of funny. But I loved them. I love the Hunger Games series so much. So when I first read the premise of this, I'll read it to you so that you can know exactly what I'm talking about. I went into it just seeing some book reviews, and by book reviews I mean like people being like, oh, this is a 4-star, or like, oh, I love this book. It wasn't like in-depth at all, so I really didn't know the details of it, but it was enough to where I was drawn in when I was like, okay, love triangle, fantasy, sounds like Hunger Games, but magical. I'm in. Like, how could you really go wrong? You know what I mean? And so the back of this first book, this one is called Lightlark. This is the very first one in the series. It says, every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. So it sounds, based on the back, like very, you're like, okay, magical Hunger Games. And okay, I need to, hang on, give me a minute so I can like gather my thoughts, because I immediately want to give spoilers, but I can't do that because that's horrible of me. So give me a minute to process. Okay, bear with me because I really want to give you guys like a good, I love this book and I really want you guys to read them with me, especially because I'm about to start the second one, and then we can have like a little book club. I think that'd be really fun. Or if you have read them and you are on like one of the sides, or like you have thoughts, please DM me, or like just send me a message on Instagram or like anywhere, because I would love to like FaceTime one of you guys and just like or multiple of you, and like we could do a Zoom call if you wanted to talk over Instagram for a while about these, because they're really fun. And it's so funny because I like mentioned that I was reading these on Instagram, and the amount of people that DM me and be like, oh girl, I'm so glad because I know exactly which side you're going to be on, like which team. Like there's such a community around this book. And like even the author herself, I posted something and she saw that and she like messaged me on Instagram being like, oh, I hope you love it. That's so sweet. And this girl has like, the author is Alex Astor. I had not heard of her until I saw that TikTok a few weeks ago. She seems like such a sweet human being. And her mind, oh my God, her mind is incredible. Like the things that this woman has thought of and like the world that she was able to create is incredible. Like Alex Astor, girl, you have a whole ass talent and a half and more. Like you are so fucking talented. I would love to live in your mind for a day. Like genuinely. Oh, if I had that amount of creativity, like, I'd be unstoppable. Like, girl, you are so cool. You are such a badass. The things that you create and the things that you write are so cool. Okay, enough. I said I was ready to give you guys the thing, and then I went into like a whole like side note of my love for Alex. Okay, so Lightlick, we talked about the fact that it is Hunger Games-esque magic edition, right? So you know how on the back in the little blurb, it tells you that it's 6 different realms come together, right? And one of them must die. The 6 different realms represent 6 different magical powers, essentially, and 6 different realms. Inside the book, this isn't a spoiler because it's like in the very front, and I feel like this is known. I am going to go ahead and read to you guys though, this little page right here. It is curses and powers, and I'll also take a picture of it and insert it so you guys can also like see it over here as well. But each realm has a power and as well as a curse. And the goal of the island popping up is that every 100 years they compete to try to break the curses. So that way all of these people are essentially freed from them and can go back to their lives, which 500 years ago when before the curse was initiated, they lived all kind of like in harmony and together. So the goal of this entire like series essentially, well, this first book is to break that curse so that all of the people can live in harmony and be curse free. So I'm going to read to you guys the curses and powers of each of those realms. The first one is Wildling, and that is the main character is a Wildling named Isla throughout all of these books. That is following her perspective of everything. So Wildling, she is, okay, I'll read. Thoughts. Okay, curse for Wildling. Must eat human hearts to survive and kill anyone they fall in love with. Which is crazy because this is also a romance book. It's a fantasy romance and the main character isn't allowed to fall in love. That alone is wild. Their powers are control of nature and affinity with animals. So it's kind of fun because there's like a character in here that's like a Wildling and she has like a pet capybara and she can like communicate with it. There's another one like that has like a panther. Like I think that's so fucking cool. Are you kidding me? Do they have to eat hearts to survive, like human hearts? Or like hearts of people in other realms? Yes. Which sucks. Don't get me wrong. And they're one of the most hated in their realms as well. There's a lot of like conflicts between the realms because, you know, obviously with their curses, it affects each other. So Wildling is really interesting because Wildling, and then I'll mention the other one that's also very hated. But because they have to kill people to live, people are afraid of them, right? Like, wouldn't you be? But they also can have pet capybaras, so it is what it is. The next realm is Starling. Their curse is that they all die at 25. So you can never, the day you turn 25, babes, you're dead. I turned 25 a little over a month ago. I'm dead. Like literally my birthday was in September. I would have died then. RIP. So this realm is obviously struggling because everyone drops dead. How are you supposed to keep? I wouldn't have a kid now. I wouldn't have had a kid a couple years ago, and in order for the realm to survive, they would all be having to pop out babies really young. Otherwise, the whole the whole Starling realm is gonna crash and burn and die, and there won't be any of them left. So their curse is that they all die at 25. Their power is that they can harness energy from the stars and perform telekinesis, which is really important. And it's something that like the Starlights kind of go, I feel like to some extent kind of unnoticed because they're considered a lot weaker because they do die so quickly and there's such a limited amount of them. But their characters end up being one of my favorites. Skyling is the next one. The curse is that they have lost the ability to fly. And when the curse originally put into play, thousands fell to their deaths from the sky. Powers is that they have control of wind and weather, which is really, really cool. But they can't fly anymore, so that sucks. Moonling, the curse is the sea becomes deadly every full moon. So essentially what happens is for moonlings, every full moon, they have to like go in lockdown. Like they can't go outside because the sea essentially summons them. It's like the sea in itself is like a siren and it summons them and it kills them. And so their powers though, outside of that, so whenever it's not a full moon, they are vibing, is that they can have control over water, healing abilities, and the power to freeze. They are definitely one of the strongest of all the realms because of their powers and because their curse isn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't affect them on a daily basis. Like for the wildlings, they're fucking screwed. Girls gotta eat, right? It just so happens they have to eat a heart. Like moonlings, girl, you're fine. A full moon only happens every once in a while. And you just don't go out that night. I'm not even a moonling and I don't go out on a full moon because I go to bed early. So if this were me, that would be like best case scenario. You know what I mean? Sunling is the next one, which there's also the king character in this book, and he's one of the few people in this book who has multiple of these of the like powers and realms combined into one like person, if that makes sense. And he's like super old. Like there's a couple characters in here, I forget what they call them, but they're essentially like, they don't just die. Like they're super, super old. They've been there like since pre-curse, which is like, that means that they're at least 500 years old, but then they don't look like their age, so they're still hot. So moonling, and then you have sunling, which will burn in the sunlight, which is crazy. When you hear sunling, that's quite the curse. That would really suck. So homie, the king, he can only go out at night. And as soon as the sun starts rising, he will like literally disintegrate to death. Like he will die. And their powers is that they have control over fire, light, and heat. Nightshade is the other one. So Wildling and Nightshade are both the ones that are the most hated. Nightshade will perish outside after nightfall. So they can only outbeat. It's kind of like the opposite for like curses of Sunling, essentially. Powers, and it says in the parentheses varied based on strength. They have the ability to turn invisible and read emotion. Stronger individuals may be capable of mind control, shadow wielding, and spinning curses. They are also one of the most hated. Wildling and Nightshade, top most hated out of all of the realms, because they're like they have the reputation for being not very trustworthy and like will kind of backstab you and are dangerous. Okay, now that you guys know what the different realms are and their curses and everything, essentially the entirety of this first book goes into depths of them. Isla, the main character, and her story and her background trying to help essentially stay alive for herself, but also her people back home, the Wildlings, and then also kind of falling in love, but then she doesn't want to be in love and she's like, hey, can I trust this guy? And then there's another guy that she doesn't realize she's in love with, but she is in love with him. And she's like, oh shoot, now I have two guys who both really want me. Like both of them yearn for me bad. But we're also in a situation where that's not like what we need to be worried about right now. Right now we need to be worried about breaking the curse, because there's a good chance that if we don't break the curse this year, like within the like 100 days that we have, we might not get the other chance. We might all be dead. Like low-key, we're all really struggling, all of these realms, and like we could very much so just not exist. So this is like a last chance before we all end up dead. So maybe this isn't the time to like fall in love with two different guys. But she also can't help it. She's like, okay, but like this is my only sense of community. These are the only people I talk to. And she's forced to like work so closely with them that how would you not fall in love with them, you know? And she has no one else. She's like all alone. Those are the only two people that like actually like show her any form of support, you know, and look after her. They both have saved her life multiple times. You know, I have not experienced anything in this book, obviously, but as someone reading it, if someone saved my life multiple times, I probably too would fall in love with them. Like it just kind of comes with the territory. I think it would be really, she'd be a fucking bitch. Isla, you're a fucking bitch if you don't fall in love with someone who saved your life multiple times. So I do get why she fell in love with both of them. I definitely am team one of the guys than the other guy. First of all, I don't physically find the other one appealing, like his description, which sounds horrible. That's not obviously what love is, just physical. But the other guy is just so attractive, and he's so like bossy, and like he smirks and he's like jokes around, and he's kind of like he's not even kind of, he's so protective over her. Like he would die for her a million times over. Like he loves her. So I'm definitely team that guy. I'm not gonna give names because you guys will find out in the book for yourself. But I'm definitely team him because he's hotter, funnier, yearns harder, and he lets her know. The thing about, I don't understand about the people that are like team the other guy is because he doesn't yearn, and he doesn't ever tell her, oh, hey, I really like you, or like show that ever. Like if anything, he just acts more like a mentor. And like, to me, this is kind of gross. It's like a relationship with like your dad is what the other guy feels like. Like the other guy, you're like, oh, this hot, attractive guy, versus being in love with someone's dad, or like a guy that's acting like he's your dad. No. Like, no. No. Like, you can still have love there and like care about them, but girl, not in a romantic way. Like Isla girl, if you don't pick a guy that smirks at you and like yearns over you and is so protective. He gave her a necklace that like if she touches it, he was like, if you ever need me, I'll be there, just touch this. And it's like this giant diamond that like only like he can see, so that way no one else knows it's there. Like, hello? The other guy, yeah, maybe I saved her life once or twice, but she also saved his, and he's kind of an asshole to her. Doesn't ever, like, she, so team hot guy, because he's not just hot, but like, he's funny, he's smart, he cares, like he cares so much. Whereas the other guy, he's just like, he's too nonchalant and too much of like a mentor to like be anything more than that in my eyes. And it doesn't feel like anything. You know, it's like, okay, what now? Like, it doesn't feel like it would go anywhere. So that's this book. But at the same time, they're going through all of that, right? And she's like mentally like, what do I do? But they're also having challenges and all sorts of other stuff. And they're trying to break the curse throughout the entirety of the book. So this is really good. I highly recommend. I just started the second one, but I'm not gonna give you guys a full review because I'm like 90 pages in. And I have a lot of thoughts about that one so far. But I want to finish it before I do that and hopefully finish the rest of the series. But I highly, if you're looking for a good, solid series that has fantasy, romance, this is the guy for you. Light Life is amazing. Alex Astor did an incredible job writing this book. So for the second book is just as good, if not better. And this leaves off on like a cliffhanger, and then the next one picks up like a few weeks later. Not even a few weeks, it's like a week later. But I highly recommend. I would give this one probably like 4.5. Not quite a 5 for me. Mostly, and the reason why it's like a 4 to 4.5 for me is honestly because the other guy became a love interest. And I'm kind of bitter about that because I don't like him. Like, at all. Like, I really don't like him. He's annoying. Like, just let her have the other guy. Like, I want to see more of them. He feels like a waste of time. Like, get out of here. I don't care about you. So that, and I think that's the point of the book. Like, she did it on purpose. She knew, right? She was like, so like, I get the point, Alex. I really do. I'm just bitter. And I don't like him. I like the other guy. And if you, Alex, look at me, girl. She's not watching this, but look at me, Alex. If this series ends and I go through all 4 books, reading them, hoping that there's still a chance that she ends up with the other guy and that's the one that she picks, and you make her end up, after everything that we know about the guy that I like and the things that he has done for her, if you end this series with her picking the mentor guy, I'm making you rewrite the book, essentially. I'm gonna burn it, and you're gonna sit down on your little laptop or your typewriter, whatever you write your books on. I don't care. You can write it on your iPhone, girl. I'll support it. I don't care. But you're gonna rewrite it if she ends up with the other guy, because I need her to end up with the one specific one, and that's the only option. And if I go reading all 4 of these books and that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be really upset for him and for me, like, genuinely. But with that being said, 4 stars because I'm bitter, but these are incredible. And I'm saying these, but I've only read the first one and part of the second one, but I highly, highly, highly recommend. That is my book review. I know that was probably took me an eternity to do, and I'm really, really sorry. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. And I would love to hear you guys' book recommendations. Like, please comment them down below and let me know. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe. And I have quite a few books that I want to read this next month that I'm really excited about. I'm planning on finishing, obviously, the Light Lark series. But then I also really, really want to start Alchemized and read that guy. But if you guys have any other book recommendations for me, please let me know, because I'm always on the hunt. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video and bearing with me as I ramble and try and form cohesive thoughts. I love you guys. Bye.